other perspective for you. I think that it's going to be a nice session for all of us. So we just want to have about 2 minutes and listen to each of them, and then we'll begin with our discussion. So we'll start with Mr. Ablokwaku. Just a brief intro about yourself, maybe something small, your experiences you want to share with us, and then we can move on. Okay, so you can unmute it, Ralph. Okay.
I think I managed to do that successfully. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
we can
perfect.
hear you, please.
All right, thank you, and thank you everyone for inviting me to the session, especially Christopher, or Senior Christopher, as we like to say. We like to call our old boys from Prempeh College. Yeah, so just a little bit about me. As Christopher mentioned, I went to Prempeh College, finished, over two decades ago, even though it feels like just yesterday. I went to McMaster University in Canada, where I pursued a Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry and Biomedical Sciences. I actually specialize in genetic engineering and biotechnology because at the time I wanted to be a scientist. So there you have it. After that, I worked in the industry for a while, in the pharmaceutical industry, in a lab. And then I transitioned to human research or clinical research, as some of you may know. And then having worked in the industry for a while, and having met a few people along the way who were kind enough to mentor and encourage me, I decided to go to law school and become a lawyer, which for many people is unusual, as Christopher mentioned. And after law school, I went back into the pharmaceutical biotechnology services. Essentially what I do, just a little bit of what I do, is I help companies bring their products to market, right? So, companies that have developed drugs, they need approval from the FDA or other regulatory bodies. My work involves helping them test those drugs in the clinics so that we can get all the data, all the safety data, and all the efficacy data that we need to submit to the FDA and to get the drug approved so that it can be put on the market to serve the needs of the patients. So yeah, I've been doing that for a number of years. I'm currently with a biotech company that's based out of South San Francisco in California, called Tenaya Therapeutics. Yeah, so again, I'm very excited to be here, very excited to share my experience with you guys, and yeah, I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Owusu, your turn to tell us about yourself and what you are doing.
Hi, good evening. So like Christopher mentioned, my name is Enyidaju. Actually, it's lovely to see so many of you here. I'm impressed at the number of young people willing to learn how to navigate the world of work. So a little bit about myself. I did computer science in tech. How many years ago? I was trying to count. It's been 19 years so far. I finished in 2006. And before that, I went to Wesley Girls High School. And then I was a TA on Tech Campus with the computer science department for a year. Came over to the UK to do a master's in analysis, design, and management of information systems. And then right after that, I joined investment banking. I thought that was where the action is. That's where I'm going to learn a lot. It's fast paced and all that. We'll talk more about that later on. But it was a really good experience. It was an eye opener. But I wanted a bit more of the IT software side of things as well, because I thought, well, I've done computer science and I've done information systems. So the next logical step is to go into something more IT than banking. So there was a company that develops app booking platforms for travel management companies, for people that just want train tickets within the office without having to go into the station to buy. And I did some business analysis for them. And then in my current role as a digital business analyst, I don't just look at bringing functionality to life, but I'm actually going back to first principles, asking questions about what's a business strategy here? Where do you want to be in the next 5 years? How does that fit into your goal of, let's say, asking for your tickets to be presented as a barcode on a phone? What kind of technology requirements do we need and all that? And then I put all that together, speak to developers about it. And because of my computing background, that gives me an edge to be able to understand, well, this is how I think we might be able to get a better solution, or suggest things that they might be struggling with, and then move through the process until that new feature comes in for testing. We get clients to approve it, and then it's deployed into the live system. So lovely to meet you all, and thanks for having me, Christopher.
Thank you very much, Enidado Owusu, very good friend of ours. You know, one funny thing is that in school, if you are not able to write your notes, just go to Enidado and photocopy her notes. It will be exactly what you need to pass your exam. So, Dr. Enifo, it's your turn to introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
Thank you, Chris, and good afternoon, all. As Chris said, I'm Ernest Edem Edifor. Everybody knew me on campus as Edem. I'm also a product of KNUST. Very, very, very proud to be from KNUST. I finished with Saba in the same year. Going back a few years now. I also stayed on campus to serve as a TA, teaching assistant. After that, I also went to I came to the UK to do a master's. That was in .NET distributed system development. That was it. So I did that, which was in programming. And then I came back to Ghana, stayed for about 18 months to be a lecturer in a number of universities, I think 2 universities. And after that, I went back to the UK to do my PhD, worked in the University of Glasgow after that. And now I work with Manchester Metropolitan University. I'm an associate prof, and I am the director of one of our apprenticeship programs. It's one of the big apprenticeship programs led by university in the country. We have, as you saw, there quite a number of students on the program. I work with a very, very big group of academics to deliver our program, and we've been very successful the past few years. That's what I do. But then I'm also an academic, so I do research with various people across the globe. And I'm involved in various projects, setting up new programs from scratch, and working with academics to deliver great learning experience for students. So that's what I do, and that's me. Thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here. So thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, my panelists. Mrs. Theodore will be joining the call very soon. And let's just kick off with just this random question that comes up on top of my head. Ralph, to you, what do you think are the common mistakes that graduates make in terms of determining what they want to do in future? What are the things that you think, the people you have met, the people you have interacted with, what are the things that you think this is not how you should organize your life? I mean, what are the common mistakes?
I think for me, there are a couple of things, but I want to maybe start with one that, I can draw, from my own personal experience is to be patient, right? There are a lot of people who go into the university and have an idea of what they want to be in the future, which is fine. If that's you, hey, you're probably ahead of most of your peers, because for a lot of people, when they enter the university, they're not exactly sure what they want to do, right? They have they have an idea, but they don't have any kind of certainty as to where they might land. So the thing I will say is, if that's you, if you're the person that, you're taking a certain program because, that's what your parents wanted you to take, but you're not really sure what comes after that, that's okay too, right? It's all a journey. You need to be patient. You need to, explore opportunities as they come along, right? For me, one of the reasons I say that is, as I mentioned in my introduction, when I first started my undergraduate work, I wanted to become a scientist, right? That's what I wanted to do. It took having an open mind as to what else I could possibly do, where my interests were, and frankly, what was out there in the job market. And when I looked at all of that, one of the things I realized was there aren't a lot of lawyers in the field with a science background. That's not to say that there isn't a need for that skill set, right? The need is there. It's very unique in a sense that not many people are in that field. And so it took, having an open mind, having the willingness to go back to school and retrain, getting out of that science mindset and training your brain to become, to become a lawyer, to do a lot of reading, which, for most people who've done science, yes, there's some reading, but it's nowhere close to the amount of reading you have to do to become a successful lawyer. So I'm saying all of this to say, keep an open mind. Don't just overlook opportunity because that's not what you've set out to do. Be curious to learn, research, make sure you have the information you need to make decisions. A lot of what you're going to face in the future is not going to be known to you after your first year, after your second year of undergrad. It might not even be known to you until after you're done your program. But keep an open mind and, just explore what's out there in the world. Find a need that's not being filled. And if you have the skill set to enter that market or to take advantage of it, I would encourage you to take full advantage of that.
Thank you very much, Ralph. We'll come back to you again, but I want to go to Enyidado and ask her. She has transitioned from work in 2010, 2011. In the last 5 years, how has the field of work changed? And if I could say, how has the corporate world changed the last 5 years? And what should today's graduate expect as they enter the workforce? How has it changed?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. There's something that we all know about, really, an event that happened in the last 5 years, which is COVID. And that was a big catalyst that changed everything for us as workers, for students, for everybody, really. And what that meant was before, whereas work was about going to a building, spending your 8 hours or 9 hours or whichever many hours, and then you clock out and you come back home. Now work is what you do and not where you go. And companies are adapted to looking for efficiencies, to changing quickly, to looking at how they can move from one way of doing things to the other in less than a day or a week. Because before then, we're looking at IT being just internal IT, right? You've got your laptop, you're working, something goes wrong, you walk over to them and say, "Can you fix this?" HR was just a group of people that tell you how much you're going to get paid for, or they tell you off when you're not coming to work often or there's something happening. Those functions were put under heavy strain during COVID. And what has happened now is more of a focus on mental stability of employees. HR functions have changed. IT functions have changed to become people that need to be able to give you access to work wherever you are, to be able to plug you into a VPN, get people working from continents that are far off that before we wouldn't even dream of, because everybody was in the same building, everybody was in the same space. Now, what that means for graduates now is that you've got a bigger playing field. There's so much available to you. You don't need to be applying for jobs in Accra. You don't even need to be applying for jobs in Ghana. You could be looking at jobs in Australia or China. But then on the other hand, for employers as well, they have more people available to them who are looking for the same jobs as you. They can cherry pick because there's a bigger pool. They can hire from Vietnam and get somebody from the Philippines to do the same job. So it's coming down to not just what's on your CV and how well you did in numerical analysis or data science or whatever it is, but what other soft skills you have to add to the role. Because we're not looking at just your technical abilities. We need to trust that outside that building where managers had eyes on you, you can still function. You can still be part of a team. You can still show leadership qualities. You can still manage your stress levels and improve yourself and add value to the company. So there's a lot I could say in that, but it has changed completely. It's an opportunity and then also maybe a risk, meaning that you'd have to polish yourself up a bit more. It's not enough presenting your transcripts and saying, I had a first class, I had this mark in that, and so I'm good for the job. So seek out the advantages that that brings. There's AI, which makes things easy. There's knowledge everywhere. Learn, polish yourself up. But also, it's good that we're doing this now. Focus on the soft skills.
Every month,
Right.
no bad deal, you get 50.
Sorry.
It's all right. Yeah, polish your soft skills and look for things that actually add to the skills that you've got in a university and make you indispensable wherever you go. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Please, my audience, kindly always stay muted for me. It's very important so that we don't disrupt it. Yeah. And you haven't talked about AI. Let me ask Dr. Edifo, with the rise of AI, remote work and automation, and what emerging skills do you believe is most critical for new employees, people that are looking for jobs, especially your experience with working with apprenticeships and apprentices?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Chris. Great question. So, as Inyado alluded to, there is this emergence AI, and everybody knows about it, and it seems it's taking over every sphere, not just like the technical fields. Almost every sphere now. So, if you want to be relevant and say you want to improve yourself, I think there are a few ways or a few key skills we need to all develop. With apprentices, I will come to that, but let me talk about the generic one, then I can zoom into apprentices. Of course, it's AI, so that kind of AI literacy is important. If you don't know anything at all, and you've not learned anything at all, you think, oh, I will not bother with AI. Please, at least you have to learn something about prompt engineering or something. Just get your head into it. There are so many tutorials online now. YouTube is fantastic because it gives you a lot of learning, it provides a lot of learning resources for free. And so you can just go online, and most of these AI tools are free as well, so it's that literacy, AI literacy is very important. Most institutions may not school you on that. In fact, you may do a full degree and not know a lot about AI literacy, which is possible. But as a person, I think we all need to embark on that lifelong learning sort of trajectory and school ourselves. Now we have access to all the resources. So one, definitely AI literacy and data literacy, I think, is very important. Having said that, there are some skills which will transcend all generations. So critical thinking skills and problem solving. Those are things, whether we have AI or not. Even if you're using AI, you need those skills. So if you think, oh, you know what, I'm just going to focus on this and not on some of the very fundamental skills, you're cheating yourself, because you can know about prompt engineering, but if you don't have the logic, if you can build logic or even have critical thinking skills, then you can't use it effectively. So I'll say definitely hone in or zoom in onto those sort of critical thinking, and problem-solving skills. And that is something they usually give you at uni. So take them seriously because they are extremely important. When it comes to apprenticeships, I'll tell you just a little bit about apprenticeships. So in Ghana, when you talk about an apprentice, you are thinking of someone who just goes to a mechanic or seamstress to sort of learn and all that. Now that is true, but in the UK, the government introduced what we call degree apprenticeships, which is slightly different. The concept is similar but slightly different. Apprentices, they earn while they learn. So it's almost like the Ghana one, but here there is a slight difference, particularly with degree apprentices. They finish, but they get a degree. So they'll be attending university just like you are, or most of you have done. And they will be working as well. So they won't wait till they finish uni before they go and learn, before they go and work. They're actually working while they are at uni. And so that changes things massively. And when it comes to AI, of course, the one I lead is the digital, and AI is a big one. So what we do is we have various sessions for them to, again, AI literacy. The university has a platform for providing the students with a lot of resources. So we do that and give them the opportunity to sort of catch up with things. The danger with work is when you're in work and you are operational, you're doing the day-to-day, you forget to improve yourself. And so we as tutors make sure that we have those sort of interventions to support the students so that they are catching up on some of the key things they need to know. Emotional intelligence is one as well, and mental strength or mental capacity has become even a bigger one now. As Nidado said, because the world has really opened up now and you're not restricted by four walls, you are having to battle with different things because you don't have that social aspect, which is great for mental well-being. And so developing that sort of mental strength also does help a lot, especially in today's world of work. So those are just a few I'll say for now.
Thank you very much. I just want to pick your thoughts on this. Let me go to Ralph. What soft skills would you look out for if you were to pick somebody, the people that you work with? What would you look out for? Let's say you have people who have come to do internship at your place, or you are picking people to work with. What are the soft skills you will honestly look for?
Yeah, that's a good question. So just maybe I'll start with a sort of high level. I think that term soft skills is used fairly broadly, and the way I think about it, the way I think about soft skills is all of those things that you can't put on your resume, right? All of those things that nobody expects you to put on your resume, but are also extremely critical in landing your first role or any role for that matter, right? So on your resume or your CV, as it's called in some circles, you only have your educational qualifications, you have your background, all of those tangible things that you can point to say, I am qualified for this job because I went to KNUST and I did mechanical engineering, right? That's you and 1,000 other people. What separates you from those 1,000 other people is what else do you have to offer? And for me, in my experience, it's a couple of things. I'll say at the top of the list is emotional intelligence. In almost any field that you find yourself, you have to deal with people, right? Unless you're working in some industry where you don't have any kind of human interaction. Even then, you have a boss. Your boss will most likely be human until we transition into that AI space, which we're not there yet. You have to learn how to interact with your boss, right? You have to learn how to interact with your peers. And that means being able to read the room. Reading the room means, you have to know when it's your turn to talk. You have to calibrate your language to meet your audience. You have to actively listen to what's being said, right? All of these things you will build over time, right? It's not something that's going to magically happen to you once you graduate out of school. These are skills that you learn over time. You learn by observing people that you work with, especially people in leadership positions, because these are the skills that will help you, transition from an entry-level role into a leadership role. It's there, like I mentioned, there are several different people out there with the same tangible skills that you may have, but the thing that will separate you is, how much of these soft skills that you have. So, be patient with it. Learn from people around you. Be willing to learn. Be willing to do the task that nobody else wants to do. Be willing to volunteer. Build networks, right? These are all little things that will help you over time land your next role and your next role after that. So, if I'm to say, maybe the top three, I would say emotional intelligence, building a network, and being able to read the room, and know how to observe some of the common courtesies in the corporate world. It'll come over time, but you have to start from somewhere.
Thank you very much. Reading the room. One of the things that I personally have learned is I have not really paid attention to it when it comes to reading the room. But of course, we do it once in a while. But I think it's one of the things that young people must know, reading the room. Your boss is talking to you and you're WhatsApping at the same time. You are not paying attention. And sometimes it's difficult to entrust certain things in your care because we know as for you won't do it well. So it's very important to learn how to read the room. I think that I can see Theodora Odro, it's online now. So let's just a quick one. Auntie, just if you are ready. If not, let me go to Enyidado and ask this question. The same question. What would you look out for if you are to recruit somebody? Let's say you need to recruit some people for a particular role. What are the soft skills? What are the things that you look out for?
That's an interesting one. I think Ralph has already done it justice because he's covered all the important points. But I'm going to add a typical example. It was an issue that I faced. I wouldn't say an issue, it was an experience I had, which I think it's something that most people, especially from a Ghanaian background, struggle with. So when I finished my master's here and I was looking for jobs, the job market is such that you've got a series of tests, and then there's a first round interview, and then you've got what is called an assessment center where they put maybe 10 or 12 candidates in a room. You work on a case study, you do some discussions together, you come up with a presentation at the end, and then they interview all of you individually as well. Now, usually that's where they would be deciding who passes through to the next stage, where they would have maybe an interview with a partner or with a team, and then they are hired. Now, I found that I passed the verbal reasoning test and the maths test and the first round interview where they're asking you about your background, what did you study? They look at this CV and your transcripts that has all these nice, things that you've done and. But then there was a disconnect between my personality and what they were looking for in the organization. So in Ghana, you'd assume that most people or most adults would expect younger people to be respectful and calm and soft spoken, humble. Our idea of humility is that you're quiet and you answer questions politely and you don't speak over other people and all those courtesies. But usually, when you go into the job markets, you're looking for people that match what they've got on paper. So on paper, I've got a glowing CV. But then when they speak to you, they find that they can't match the two because you're not that confident in selling yourself. Sometimes we see it as being modest. You don't want to say, oh, I had first class, because it might come across as boastful. But that's the kind of thing people want to see. That's the kind of thing that actually tells them you can do what you said on the paper. It's the only way the person hiring can tell that you've done what you say you did. That's why they're talking to you in the first place. Anyway, so I went to one of these assessment centers. I'd been to a few and I didn't get through. But the problem was that once you get to assessment center, you know you have a high chance of making the job. You know you have a high chance of being selected. And I always came back feeling, well, the white kids, they are fluent. It's their language. They flow easily with other white people. So we come to the assessment center. I'm the only Black person there. I'm female. Somebody's talking, another person starts another angle there, and then we go off to the side. By the time I get the chance to say one word, that 1 hour case study is over. And I had to quickly change myself and quickly change the way I communicate to suit the environment. And that was what Ralph was saying earlier, reading the room. This is a company where they're looking for leadership skills. They're looking for qualities that say, this person can stand up for themselves. This person can make a good argument. This person can explain things clearly. So what I would be looking out for now if I was interviewing someone, even if they weren't perfect, even if they didn't have all the skills, but they could prove that the little they know, they can explain it, they are confident about it, they've got passion, they can show that they have that fire burning within them, they have an interest, they're asking questions, they are keen. I would pick that person over somebody that had a first class with a GPA of 4.0 and ticks all the right boxes on paper. So it's being able to sell yourself without being arrogant. And I'll be looking for people that can express that within the small amount of time that we have in an interview. Does that answer your question, Christopher? I could talk the whole day for Ghana and England.
Yeah. I think so. It's something that ability to communicate and say the right kind of things that is needed of you. And sometimes you ask people something and they cannot figure it out, and you think that, oh, this one is something small. The person should have noticed it, but he or she is not, because he thinks that being quiet and saying okay is what it means. But thank you very much. And I think Theodora is online. Theo, what would you want to say when it comes to soft skills before we go back to Ernest Edifo?
All right. So good afternoon, everybody. So soft skills is very crucial, as the other speakers were saying. And I've had the privilege that every year I work with a lot of national service people, fresh graduates. Some of them I intentionally request because of what I do for the university. So when they come, there are a lot of things that I watch out for. And one of our aim is also to prepare them for the job market after their national service. So I have a set of hardcore skills I want to see. So for example, if you say you did this course, there's something I want to see that you know how to do it. But in addition, what I look for is a communication, both verbally and on paper. So if I take you for a meeting and I want you to give me a brief of the meeting, I'm expecting you to be able to put together a brief, then present it to me in a very simple way. So ability to communicate well with your superiors, ability to communicate well with your peers, and ability to communicate also with your direct reports, right? So communication is very, very important, as our lady Indadu is saying. Ability to express yourself confidently and coming out with some solutions. So that's the first thing I look out for. If you have something in your mind and you're not able to release it to your listeners, you're not communicating well. The second thing I look out for, very critical for me, is critical thinking. Thinking outside the box, right? And I don't even have an opportunity, but I always have this watermelon story that I read online. Somebody sent it to me and I read it and it stuck with me so much. And I always use it to advise my national service person. So according to the story, I hear it's a very real story. 2 graduates who went to the same company for their fresh employment, and one person, and they are into fruit juice company. So the director asked the person to go when I was coming, go to the market, look for some oranges and watermelon that we do for juice. One guy went and said, when I went to the market, only one person is selling the watermelon. So okay, so how much watermelon that she has? How much can we buy? But the director didn't give him, and he said, go and look for a watermelon seller. So according to the story, this guy is always complaining that the other colleague he came to the office seemed to be getting all the attention aside him, although he is holding a better CWA and he feels that he's equally very good. So the director sent the second gentleman he was complaining about to the same market. Go and look for the watermelon and come and tell me. This guy went and came back and said, wow, I went to the market. I met one watermelon. He has, let's say, 40 pieces of watermelon. He picks his watermelon from this place. One watermelon costs this. And I think if we change our current supplier and use him, we'll be able to do this. So critical thinking, ability to think on your feet and come up with solutions. So I tell when I meet I have about 7 people, purely national service guys at work. So I give an assignment and I kind of put on my desk. I say, respectfully, what does this mean? Oh, you asked me to put together this data. So I should interpret it. I'm expecting to go a little bit beyond. Okay, so 40 people did it. So back to watermelon story. This gentleman with one visit was able to locate a watermelon seller, ability to know how much he can supply to this new company, ability to know whether comparatively, whether they are old supplier versus this new person, who can supply it better for them. So the second soft skill I would like you to look at is ability to think, projecting, this is the way I see things, bringing up some solutions for discussion. The third soft skill I'm expecting you graduates to look is interpersonal. Among you, how do you go about it, right? And so interpersonal skills among your own people, and of course, everybody's mentioning emotional intelligence. About 5-6 years ago, I took special interest in emotional intelligence. It's something I really I've read a lot about, and I keep reading about it, emotional intelligence and leadership. So it's also another area that I expect that in this era, you see, if you go into management science and leadership science, there's the hardcore people, the fire and those people who want to say that they don't care about how human beings, we have to deliver. And have other people are saying that, Lord, we are in a society where you need to know your feelings, your emotion, and how it affects. So what our colleagues are calling reading there. When you come to the office, you watch somebody's demeanor, you know how the person works. One of my top guys here, he did statistics, first class. In addition to his skill, he's brilliant. He come on with ideas. And when I came to the office, this and this and this and this. Then he lost his sister on Easter Saturday. But I needed him to do something very critical for me. It would be very, someone say as a Ghanaian, I should, but professionally, I call him, I empathize with him, showing empathy to people. It's your sister, and unfortunately, the sister died right in his arms. Right? So although he has to deliver an assignment for me, very critical, quickly I need to get a backup and give him some days off work. You need to be empathetic, feel for people, put yourself in other people's shoes. It will change the way you look at things. So if I give an assignment to my direct report and the person is not able to deliver, gone with the years, I'll have screamed my head over, and I know. I look at you and we go into discussion. What was your challenge? What do you lack? What can I add on? Because I'm tasked by the rules of the game to make sure that you are ready for the job market. So what is going on? So being emotionally intelligent. Another soft skill I will look at is your leadership. So when I give assignment to a team of 3 or 4 that go and deliver, put this, we have maybe 1,200 students applying for one scholarship, do a short listing based on the criteria, give me the trend analysis. Let me see how the trend has been one particular scholarship. Who are those getting it? What college is it coming from? So one college was saying that I'm being biased towards their college because year after year, the top scholarship, people from that college do not seem not to be getting some. So I call my guys, can I get some data? Can you analyze it for me? Can we present it? So I want to see who will take that leadership role. So another soft skill I will encourage people to look at the leadership role. You look at the data and you can interpret it and see the trend and give the advice. And it is not supposed, although when I see the data, I can interpret, but I wish that you, the new graduate, can say, okay, looking at the trend, from 2019 to the academic year to the current academic year, this is what I've seen. So leadership, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, communication skills, and of course, interpersonal skills among you and your colleagues. So the few things I look out for in this new garden when they come over to work with me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I gave you more time because you just joined us. So thank you. But let me go to Eddie for your take on it, and then we can go on. Please keep your questions too in the chat window. I'll be taking the panelists to address.
Yes, thank you. I think my fellow panelists have said a lot about what the skills they'll look out for if they were an employer. And to be honest, most of what I was thinking about have been highlighted. But I'm going to talk about 3. One has been said by Theodora, so I won't go into it. But the first I was going to talk about was the thinking outside the box. Now I'm saying this because I work with so many employers. In fact, I think they're approaching, and so I speak with them and I know their requirements. Students, or I am in charge of the need to take the student. So I work very, very closely with them. Now, what they look out for, Tora has done a great job on that. Another I would say is enthusiasm. So sometimes when students get the fantastic results and they can show enthusiasm during the interview, which is quite similar to what Isaba was saying, it becomes problematic. Now, enthusiasm is not just you showing any sort of, I mean, it's difficult to show because it's not that tangible, right? You can't really have it on your CV, but you can have it on your CV. And so the way most students do it, and the way I've seen a lot of employers appreciate enthusiasm is, well, has this person who says they are interested in or they want to apply for this role, have they done anything else to show that they are interested in a role? And that could be maybe they volunteered, or maybe they've done an online course themselves, which is not part of their curriculum, or maybe they've just improved themselves by doing a project or something to show that they're actually passionate and enthusiastic about the field. Now, some employers, especially if it's a junior role, yes, they're interested in a technical skill, but to be honest with you, because they're going to retrain you in their field, what they want is that passion. If you have passion for the field, it tells. And I guess there are so many ways you can show that passion. As I've said, some of you go home for vacation or the long vac. And what do you do with that time? 3 months, sometimes longer. What do you do with that time? If you're really passionate about something, you want to look for things you can do around that time. If you don't get a job, that's okay, but you can do something. As I said again, there are so many resources out there online for you to do something in the field, which shows you're passionate about it. And once you've done that thing, it could be an online course, a very, very simple online course, but that could be the distinction between you and someone else. Okay, so passion or enthusiasm is one. And as I said again, it sounds intangible, but you can make it tangible on your CV if you do something about it. The other one I'll talk about is adaptability. So we started by talking about COVID happening and AI and all that. Now, what a lot of employers are looking for is, well, we want an adaptable workforce because things will change. We know that things will change. And sometimes, like when COVID happened, things changed rapidly. As Isabel was saying, or Njadu was saying, IT departments had to switch within 2-3 weeks, whole operations. I mean, I work in a university, we're teaching on in person, and our IT department had to change the teaching sort of overnight to online, something that would have been impossible then, but when COVID happened, it happened. They had to be adaptable. So I guess one thing employers are also looking for is that kind of adaptability. And again, it's not something you can easily show on your CV, but if you work hard on it by looking at, well, what are things going on now? And, looking for roles. It could be part-time roles. It could be maybe you have an uncle who is doing a job in a particular field. It doesn't really matter the job, but it matters the transferable skill you pick from it. And you go in there and you learn that sort of skill. You can write it on your CV that, I have this because I worked in this environment and this happened and we had to move. And I changed, we had to change operations. And this was the outcome. So yeah, adaptability is another one I'm going to definitely add to the list. The list is endless, but I just don't want to hog the meeting. And enthusiasm. Chris, are you on?
Yes, thank you very much for that one, adaptability and enthusiasm. So thank you very much if you can hear me. I think that it's one of the things that all of us must, because we want to know whether you are passionate about what you are doing. If you are passionate about the work you are doing, it shows. People get to know about it. Thank you very much. Let me give Ralph. Looking back, what is one skill you wish you had developed before entering the workforce, and why?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. So this one's an easy one. For me, it's networking. So by nature, what some people would describe as an introvert, right? I'm not the type of person to be, the highlight of the party, right? When I go to a party, I'm usually the one in the corner just minding my own business and having a good time. What networking really does is two things. Connect you with people who may share the same interests as you, right? And sometimes you will not know whether or not they have these interests until you connect with them. Networking allows you also to be able to think outside the box, right? You're having a conversation with somebody and they happen to mention something which sparks an interest that you may not have, or you find out that they share the same interest. So it's one thing that I really wish that in undergrad or at any point in time in my academic life that someone had highlighted to me. I think one area where, or one of the ways I got to understand really the powerful nature of networking was in law school, where we had this requirement of, every time we'd have a function, we were each required to find somebody we didn't know at that function and introduce ourselves to them. Now, as I mentioned, I'm an introvert, that kind of interaction is it's not something that comes naturally to me, right? It takes a lot of effort and mental preparation on my part to be able to do that. But what I did find was, having been forced, or, for lack of a better word, coerced by way of my professors to put myself in that situation, put myself in an uncomfortable situation like that. Over time, I became more comfortable with the idea of, approaching people I didn't know in an engagement and introducing myself and finding that we might share common interests. from a lawyer's perspective, this skill was important because you need clients, right? To be a successful lawyer, you have to be able to network with people and find clients. But beyond that, I think it's important for almost every occupation you find yourself in, because those are the type of things that might open other doors for you in the future, even if you know, and some of them may not. Some of them may be, you know, conversations that you have with people that you may never meet. But there are those that might actually turn out to be just mere conversations and might turn out to be great opportunities for you in the past. When you do find those opportunities, I would encourage you to take advantage of it. These days, there's LinkedIn and all sorts of you know, social networking sites out there for professionals. If you don't have a profile on there, excuse me, I would encourage you to set up one of those profiles. Find people in an industry that you care about or are passionate about. Try connecting with them. Find someone that's willing to be your mentor, right? Someone that will give you some kind of guidance to help you navigate on how to not just get into the industry, but how to succeed and thrive in that industry as well. And yeah, I'm sure, you know, if you do it the right way, you know, there are lots of benefits to be gained from it.
Thank you very much. I'll pick Enidado, and then we'll take the last round and we'll take the Q&A so that we can proceed. Enidado, one thing.
I think the biggest thing for me at the time when I started my career would have been assertiveness. It's something that we can't talk about enough, especially with us Africans, Ghanaians, the way we are brought up. But if I could go back in time, that would be the one skill I wish I had picked up. Being able to stand in spaces where you are a bit overwhelmed, because this is a big company, these are big people, they know a lot more than I do. But being able to express yourself with confidence and doing what you need to do without looking like, oh, somebody help me out here, if you know what I mean. It's just being assertive, speaking up when you need to, being firm in your decisions, and also knowing that if you have come that far, then you deserve to be there. You are good. So just having that confidence with you is something that I would have loved to. I would have loved that someone told me that, and I would have loved to be able to build on that right from the beginning.
Thank you very much. Being assertive and going for what you are due or deserve, but of course, making sure that you do it in the right way by reading the room. Thank you very much. Ernest, Dr. Edivo.
Yeah, thank you. Looking back retrospectively, I think if someone had told me, look, you've got to be a lifelong learner, and told me what that meant and guided me in that, oh, that would have been fantastic. Because once you start work, you become so operational. You are just fixed on the next job. And of course, you may have appraisals and PDRs and name them. You know, these are things you have annually to see how you are doing and where you're headed. But after that, you go back to the job again. You know, it's just the operational stuff. And so I think for me, it would have been lifelong learning. And at some points, I decided, okay, I'm going to pick this and study this, or pick this and do this. But I realized I just got so consumed by the work. I wasn't really a lifelong learner. So I think that would have been very, very beneficial if I developed that culture. It's not necessarily the doing, you know, learning new things, but building that culture of lifelong learning, that just building that. I think that would have been very beneficial for me.
Difficult. Ernest, if I should ask, what made it difficult to build that lifelong learning?
Yeah, I think it's just the nature of the job. You know, you're just fixed on the next task you're given, right? So you don't have that headspace or bandwidth to engage in that. But one needs to really invest and be conscious about these things, because it won't happen. Your boss won't do it for you. Nobody, in fact, these are things nobody will do for you. You know, so I think to answer your questions directly, as I said, it's just the nature of the job. So I started by being a programmer, and I was a programmer in a clinical trials company. So Ralph, I'm not too far from your street. And in the clinical trial company, it's quite high pressure, because if you make a mistake, that is big trouble. It's heavily regulated, and you can't afford to make mistakes. So the only thing you have to do is just stay on the job and make sure you are, focused on it. And so I didn't have, like I say again, I didn't have that bandwidth to even think about. I mean, I did think occasionally about improving myself, but I didn't do it. I didn't commit. I wasn't that conscious about it to improve myself. So I think that's one thing I regret. And I guess it's not just with high consequence environments like the clinical trial, company. It's just once you start the job, entry level, all you want to do is to do the job. And so it doesn't click that, look, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a lifelong thing. It's not like just a quick thing. So yeah, it would have been great if I knew that early and I was a bit more conscious about it.
Thank you. Ifyo, what one thing do you wish you knew?
Well, when I entered the job market, I started my first job years ago, I was an extreme extrovert, and I found myself working with an NGO. So I think I had, because I did social work, sociology at that time, I was really interested in community development and those stuff. So looking at who I am, I realized that I could flow. But I want to encourage all those with social science background. So one of the challenges I faced when I entered my first employment was that giving interpretation to data, right? So you go to the community, you collect data, and how do you interpret it to your client, to the financier? Because we are being financed by Danida and CEDA, and my boss will say that, okay, we are going to this region to do X number of boreholes, community development, so giving interpretation to data was where I lacked. So I tell people that, look, you need both the hard skills and also the soft skills. So while I go, like, we'll stand on community meetings and talk and gather everything. But when I bring all the data in, how do I interpret it to the sponsor, right? So quickly I realized that my skills there wasn't too strong. So I have to sit down, quickly do some serious Excel and data analysis and putting in how to churn information out and interpret it. So it was a combination. And I like what the last speaker said, lifelong learning. So you are attached to other senior colleagues who are going to the field. This person sponsored by CEDA, this person sponsored by Danida, this person sponsored by USAID. You are into energy, you are into climate change, you are into adaptation, you are into water and sanitation. So we had about 3 or 4 major projects. Yeah, so I'll work with this and this and this. So basically, the second area that I wish I was taught is ability to write good reports, right? So I'll encourage everybody. These days, our report writing skills, it maybe depends on but you enter the field where I started my career from, and you need to produce reports. Along the line, you need to put together proposals and bid for jobs. So you should be able. Today, you are blessed with AI. You put it and AI gives you everything. Years ago, there was nothing called AI. You need to sit down and think and bring out. So it really helps some of us, right? That ability to think on your feet and your presentation. So that is where I'll come from. So if you are already an extrovert, you have these skills there, it will be good to go to the job market balance. Don't forget your hard skills. But unfortunately, graduates of today, they are over focusing on the hard skills and neglecting the soft skills, right? So some of us entered the job market with strong soft skills, but we're a bit deficient in our hard skills. So we have to do a lifelong learning. We got mentors. So this whole said mentors is very, very important. We got mentors who took us through one after the other. Enroll on this short course, enroll on this short course, enroll on it. So I did a lot of lifelong learning. I went online, I did a lot of short courses here, there, and it really built me up before I even went to do my master's. So that's what I would say. There's some things that nobody will teach you in class. You won't learn it. You are doing differential equations, you are doing calculus, you are doing statistics. Nobody will teach you some of these things, but you need to learn it on your own, looking at the job market. And Chris, let me really recommend the Human Job Report by the World Economic Forum 2025 report. I think people should go and read that particular report. You'll be amazed. The Future of Jobs Report 2025. I like that report. Every year I read to see, because they do a lot of projection concerning skills, jobs that are in vogue, jobs that are declining, and where graduates should build their skill. Future of Jobs Report 2025. It was released 9th January. So at the World Economic Forum website, when you go there, that report is there. Amazing report that will show you where you need to focus on your career, the careers that are going down, what the world of work is looking for. So that is what I was saying. I'll add on. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you very much. So I've gotten the reports. Now I'm sure I will let AI summarize the key parts for me anyway. That's the world we are living in. But the last round of questions, and then we'll pick the questions from the audience. I've seen a lot of questions. And how does ethics play a role in all these things we are talking about as a graduate who is being prepared for the field of work in ethics? And I think that this will I'll end with Ram because he's the lawyer. So I'll start with Enyidado, and then I'll go to Ernest, come to you, and end with Ralph, and then we'll pick the questions.
I think at the end of the day, thank you, Chris. At the end of the day, you need to look at which sector you are in and what are the things that you are required to do in those sectors. So when you talk about ethics, is it right? Is it moral? Does it help other people? Is it something that puts other people at a disadvantage? Are we bringing discrimination here? It depends on your job sector. Your first assignment as a new employee or as an entry level person is to understand what your company is into. Familiarize yourself with the policies. Familiarize yourself with things that you need to do and things that you don't do. Ask the right questions. Why do we not do this? What's the reason for that? You are not expected to know everything right from the beginning, but you're expected to be able to ask the right questions. So if you don't know anything about the company's policies, or you don't know anything about the ethics of the things that you need to be doing in your work environment, ask the questions. Ask your HR, ask if there's any documents though that you can read more about, but also improve on yourself in being a better human being, in making sure that, yes, you've got soft skills, you've got the communication, you've got the leadership, you know how to network and all that, but are you being fair? Are you playing underhand tactics in anything that you do in your job? Are you going to put your company in a situation where they might be hit with a lawsuit because of your actions? Think through those ones. Think through the fact that you are not just a representative of the company, but also your company might be liable because of your actions. I think other panelists might add a bit more to that. I'll let the lawyer wrap it up. I don't want to say everything. So,
Okay, so Ernest, and then we'll go to Hugh.
I was trying to respond to Philip's question in the chat. So let me just recap. We are talking about the ethics, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'll say is that there are ethics is a tricky thing. Well, again, I don't want to stray into the lawyer's domain because he'll come and embarrass me and disgrace me. But ethics is a very, very tricky thing because You see, someone told me a story. When you go to an area where, okay, doing this is okay, you may go to another area and doing that may not be okay. I was going to give the story, but the story is a bit well, it's not vulgar, but it might not suit their situation, so I'll put that aside. But what might be right here might not be right everywhere. But in Ghana, one thing I've realized since coming, well, right now I'm in Ghana. I've been in Ghana for since January, and I'll be here till August. And I've realized that, my goodness, there are so many things we take as normal, but they are not ethical at all. My cousin was telling me just over this weekend that they were in the workplace and there was an auditor who was in to come and do the audit. And while the auditor was doing the audit, I think the person was white. So they thought, oh, they'll speak Twi and say, oh, for document nifaha. And so when they said for document nifaha, the white man said, umude fahin. So they were shocked. But it's a normal thing to us to protect our company, even if sometimes it's not right, to do things. I don't know. We just want to cover up, which is just not right. And I guess it starts from there. When we know that what we are doing is we are throwing dust into people's eyes, or it's not just right, we just shouldn't do it. It could be either whether you are defaming, or it could be either you say something on your website, but that's not what you're actually delivering. And some people like to hype their products or their services or whatever it is. They are all not ethical. If it's just not right, just not do it. And I guess it just comes in various small things, and we tend to overlook so many. Particularly here in Ghana, we just tend to overlook it. It's just like normal, but it's not. I think we want to be people of integrity. We want to have that kind of high standard when it comes to ethics, thinking of the other person. And in talking about ethics, I'll definitely talk about sustainability as well. I mean, we have just one planet. We have limited resources. It's not unlimited. And unfortunately, I think we use these resources sometimes without thinking of depletion, without thinking of how it's going to, maybe because it's there. So a very typical example, you want to Google something you can find very, very easily on Google. You go to AI. Of course, someone may say, oh, look, you're just being silly here. But do you know what? AI takes so much energy, and our resources are really limited. And so if something can do with just the barest minimum, there is no need going the extra mile because our resources are limited. Some of you are programmers, you want to use, I don't know, let me give a very typical example, a data type, and you just think, oh, let me just go for int. But to be honest, a byte will do. Why go for an int, especially if you're going to have a very large database? So what I'm trying to say is, with everything we do, yes, ethics is great, but we also have to also be thinking about sustainability, because if we don't take care of this planet, we don't have another planet. That's all I'll say.
Thank you very much, Theo, and then finally, Ralph sums it up, and I'll pick your question.
So, thank you. When I think about ethical things, I talk about values. For me, it is developing your values. And as a parent, I think it comes from the home, right from the home. Because what you see as valuable to you becomes ethical to you. You need to be somebody who values that my freedom ends where somebody respectfully knows begins. When something is not right, it's not right, right? It doesn't matter whether you're in Ghana or Australia or you're in China or in Russia. When something is not right, it's a universal law. It's not right. That shall not steal, don't steal, right? So it is values, truth. Speak the truth, even if you be punished for it. You need to speak the truth. You need to develop a habit where you open your mouth and you are speaking the truth. That's, for me, it's ethical. Number two is, for me, it's values of time management. One thing I really don't like at all for this whole Ghana man's time. What is Ghana man's time? So if something will happen at this, and Chris, you and I will know that there's a program going on at a Great Hall. It's mind-boggling when over 3 weeks, people know that we are starting a program at 2 o'clock. And you are coming at 4. Not that you don't, you know, and why? You don't have any excuse, oh, say, wait there. Stop wait there. So it is value. It's very unethical for always, as we're saying, those who come early, they are being punished. But the person is there early. You understand? So when I think about ethicals, I'm thinking about truth. I'm thinking about values. I'm thinking about time management. And lastly, I'm thinking about conflicts of interest. Young people, or all of us in the workspace. In Ghana here, people don't see anything wrong with conflict of interest. And it's something that I really cherish so much. It's something that we need to look at. It. So if you do it and it's okay, fine, but you know that what I'm doing, I will bring in somebody to come and bid for work, but it's my company usually bidding for the work. Your colleague, there's so many things going in the public sector that my heart, but it's a system in which we find ourselves. And some of them I think is very, very unethical and morally wrong, right? So as we grow into profession, let's be careful some of these things. Now we develop values that this is valuable. As I said, we don't just waste things for wasting sake. I mean, you are going out you are closing for the evening and your air condition is on and your light is on and your fan is on. I ask myself, why? I mean, that thing prompts you that you are wasting energy. You are not there. Air conditioning is blasting. You are going for a meeting for 4 hours. I see drivers bring their bosses to meeting, and for the 4 hours, the car is on throughout. Why? My boss can't enter the car when the car is hot. What? You know, you just want to know, and somebody said that, oh, because you have external, it is not an external experience. It is something that we need to develop values. And I think that maybe the lawyer can add a little bit to that. Thank you.
It's one of the things I was just looking at it before lawyer comes in. You know, Bank of Ghana reports that 33% rise in staff involved in fraud. Bank staff, workers, 33% rise last year. So young graduates, people have employed to help protect their money. They want to drive the big cars at the same time. They forget that there's a baby before a toddler, and then you get to where the moment he starts work, he wants to build his house and do everything, and then they do fraud. These are those they caught, the ones they couldn't catch and are still there. And so values are very important. Lawyer, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chris. So all great points so far. So just to tie it up. So I guess for me, what I would say just in summary is when you're faced with any situation, right, you can ask yourself 2 questions. Is it legal? Is it ethical? Those two are not the same things, right? There are some things that may be legal, but as Theodora said, may not be ethical, right? Because the people that write the laws, they can't anticipate every single scenario and write a law that encompasses every single scenario. It's on us as individuals to, when faced with any situation, apply our values. If you're faced with any situation and it feels wrong, it most likely is wrong. So my suggestion to you is, if you have any questions, if you have any doubt, ask questions. It's better to err on the side of caution than to do something that may expose yourself or the company you work for to any kind of legal risk or reputational risk, right? There are some things that we do that we may never face legal consequences for, but our reputations can suffer, meaning nobody's going to sue you in court for that thing that you did, but they might never do business with you again because they found that your ethics are lacking. One really good piece of advice one of my mentors gave me is, we only have one reputation. If you go out there and you do something to soil that reputation, that will follow you, if you're not lucky, for the rest of your life. That is certainly true in the legal profession. I'm sure many of us know lawyers who have developed certain reputations in public opinion, good, bad, or indifferent. But that's on them. So yeah, in summary, I would say, don't think about what is legal, as in what the law allows you to do. I would encourage you to think a step further. Think about what is ethical, meaning what is the right thing to do in that particular situation. And again, if you are unsure, or if you have any doubts, ask questions, get a second opinion, and make sure that you're doing the right thing.
Thank you very much, Ralph, for the insights. I think that now we will be ready to take the questions. Let me start with the questions that have come so far. I'll take two of the tests one, and then those who want to talk, you can raise your hand. I'll call one. So I take one voice and two written at the same in sequence. So that's what I'm going to do. So now let me start. One major problem facing most graduates is how to identify our career path. Some of us got admissions to the universities to pursue courses of which we had no passion for. And the roots of this problem goes back to the basic education exposure we had. So talents were not identified and honed. Is it late for one to identify his or her field of interest and pursue, because we lack most of the skills to compete globally? So where I'm coming from, I wanted to, but by virtue of the system, I happen to go and do a course I'm not supposed to do. What do I do? Let me take it from Anidado, and then I'll come back to Ralph on another question.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, Christopher. It's something that happens to a lot of people. I witnessed a lot of people that were in courses just because that is what the grades they got allowed them to have. So somebody really I wanted to do medicine, and I ended up in computer science. What you have to remember is not to waste any opportunity available to you. Don't assume that because you want to be a pharmacist, you're doing agric, and so the world has to end. Because what's happening is a lot of people are going through the 4 years or however many years your courses, and their minds are on something else, what they should have had or what they think they should have had. And they are missing out on all the skills and opportunities that they could have had in what is in front of them. Now, let me give you a typical example. The skills that you need to sell tomatoes at Makola Market, they are the same skills you need to sell Nido with Procter and Gamble or with Nestle. Okay. The difference is that there's one that's in polished up. You're a marketing manager, and you're thinking, how do I reach people? There's another where all the tools available to you are a pan, a tray, you've got a chair, you're sitting down and you're selling. There are transferable skills that you can learn in that subject you're doing now and take it to another thing. But also, you're lucky to be in a generation or in a time of the world where it's easy to move around. You don't need to go do a whole other new course. Or even if you had to, there are options to learn on the job. There are options to start a job in where you are now, while you do some evening classes or some distance learning, and then improve yourself. So I think two main things. Don't waste your opportunity now. Don't let your parents pay the school fees and your hostel fees and all that for 4 years in vain. Use whatever skills you're getting from here, and then look at what other opportunities are available to you. While you work with this, find out where you could go next. But don't sit down waiting for your ideal situation to fall into your lap, or thinking that I deserve to be a doctor, I didn't get it, so nothing else matters. Sometimes it's the accidents that we fall in that we find that actually maybe this is what my calling was, or this is where I should have been. And that's because we apply ourselves we work hard at it and we start to even enjoy it. So if you find yourself in a path where you think this is not where I want to be, look for the transferable skills while you think about your next move. That's all I've got to say on that. Thanks, Christopher.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Ralph might step out of the meeting for some reasons. He has another engagement, but before he goes, somebody says, I'm Sadiq, final year student here at KNUST, reading telecommunication engineering. I research in computer and cybersecurity. I'm going to like law. And I want to ask Ralph, if I want to attach law to my career path, is there a field like tech law, technological law, something like that? I have a lot of interest in technology and the security of them, but I also want law. So how do I look at it? How do I combine all these things per your experience?
Yeah, great question. So there are certain areas of law that allow for people with backgrounds in technology and material science and life science to practice, right? One of those big areas is patent law. I'm sure you've heard about that. That's where that kind of expertise of having some engineering or science background allows you to leverage that experience with the knowledge of the law into helping a company patent a product, for example. So that's one stream that you can think of. The other stream you can think of is sort of like the stream that I'm in, right? So with that background in networking or cybersecurity or engineering, you can foreseeably end up in the corporate world with a company that is focused on that area, not as a technical person, right, on the technical side of things or operational side of things, but somebody that is on the legal side of things, but also has a very deep knowledge and understanding of what that industry is about, some of the technicalities that are required to be in that industry. If you have that kind of background, you are a really good asset to a company that's focused on that, because when there's a legal problem, your perspective is very unique and is very different from somebody who doesn't have that background that's in the same position, because you come at the problem with that knowledge and that expertise of engineering or whatever it may be, and you layer on top of that, the legal issues of the day. That is an extremely valuable skill set that I think most companies will be grateful for. So just in summary, I would say, just right off the top of my head, there are two potential streams that you could start thinking about and exploring. One is the patent stream, which is, helping companies patent a product or an innovation. And the other one is on the corporate side of things, joining a company that is focused in that particular industry, but as a legal expert and not so much a technical expert.
Thank you very much. I think that, let me see the time, 2 minutes to 5:30. My panelists, let me give Rob the last question, and then so that he can exit to his engagement. So Rob, somebody says that he is doing a third-year chemistry student, and he loves to work in the pharmaceutical industry. What advice would you give to him how to navigate the space to be able to build that career, looking at your experience from your previous fields of the lab that you were in and things like that? How demanded things like, what should he watch?
Yeah, I would say that maybe right from the onset, I guess the study of law is fairly similar to science, right? In that it's very analytical, it's very evidence-based. It involves a lot of critical thinking. All of these skills that I'm sure you're picking up in classes like organic chemistry, analytical chemistry, all these other, chemistry courses that you're taking. So my first piece of advice would be, don't take any of that for granted, because you are going to need that same side of your brain to, apply to law school, and once you get in, to apply to the study of law. So yeah, that's the first thing I would say is, you are already building up yourself in terms of training your brain to think in certain ways. So just wanted to help you recognize that, and to encourage you to stay on that path. Once you're actually done with your chemistry, I would suggest, some people would go directly from undergraduate school and want to apply into law school or graduate program. That's fine as well. But if you have an opportunity to actually get a job in the industry, with your chemistry background, I would suggest to go that route. If you get the opportunity, that is, right? Sometimes the opportunity doesn't exist. But if you have the opportunity to get into the industry and work with your chemistry degree, to get some exposure to what the need is in the industry before you make that leap into law school, I think that would be extremely, extremely valuable to you as well, because then you'd be entering into law school, not just with a degree in chemistry, right? Not just with academic qualifications, but also with industry, real life experience that you can bring to your study of law and ultimately into your practice of law. So I hope that answers your question. And since this is my last question, Chris, I would say it's been a pleasure being with you this afternoon, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to engage with each and every one of you. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any further questions. You can always connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to chat with you. So again, thank you, Chris, for the opportunity, and thank you to my co-panelists, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, and I think that there's another Ralph on the call, and I'm sure perhaps you know him. All the best.
Thank you so much. All right.
Okay, there's a question, I think, from Dominic. Let's pick Dominic to ask his question. Dominic, you have the floor.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I think I have a suggestion in that most of the people that are asking, like a lot of us want to also ask questions, like maybe you want to work at NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration of the United States. So I'm suggesting that we might have people that are having a common area or common fields that they would want to work, or they would like to go in, like as the future, like in future. So I suggest that maybe if groups can be done on maybe areas where you think that you wish to work, as in you should be able, so that we can be able to ask questions on those platforms. And once in a while, they come to address those particular questions. Because I realize that if everyone wants to ask the question here, the time will not be permitted.
I think I share with you, and that's one of the things we are doing, the generalities of things, and we'll tell you to do what we call the link. How to build your professional network, how to get people connected in the areas and sectors where you are, how to even join certain pages to get certain feeds, how to go for certain events where certain actions are taking place. If you want to be a prophet, you go to school of prophets. If you want to be an imam, you have to go and learn the Arabic and know the. So there are areas you need to find yourself. You cannot be in an area where they are selling pens and you are asking for book, let's say food. No, you must be able to identify your area. So this is just the basic skill for everybody so that it will help us navigate towards those areas. But thank you, it's a great suggestion. Thank you very much. Is there any other question that somebody has? If there's not, I'll go and read the next set of questions. Maybe to Enidado, what is the best way for developing a good CV? Because each job opportunity demand different skills. And so does it mean you should always edit it or you should have a generic one and then send it to everybody?
I think the short answer to that, Chris, is yes. You should have a unique CV for every company that you apply to. The basic skills they are looking for are the same. But then sometimes they are asking for things, specific things, because that's what they need you to do in their role. Now, you need to be able to think back and look at examples of things that you've been involved in or scenarios that you've been in that fit the role that they are asking for. I'm not asking you to lie and go and say, yes, I've done all these things. I know this, I know that. Be honest on your CV, but find a way of crafting your response in a way that brings out the skills a bit more. So that if this company is asking for, let's say, an engineer, you've done mechanical engineer, they need somebody that understands this kind of machinery, these kind of systems, and you have that skill, then bring those out to the fore on that CV. If your next company is just looking for an engineer for an entry level role and they don't even need any of those skills, you could add them just to show what you've done, but it's not necessary. So for each job application, look at what they are asking for and pull out those things to the fore on your CV. So yes, edit it every time that you send, especially if they're asking for different things.
Thank you very much. And just to add a follow-up question to it, what are some of the key soft skills to put on that CV? Are they essential? Do you have to edit it from that angle?
Yeah, so I don't think you actually write soft skills on your CV. What you do is you write things that you've been involved in that demonstrate your soft skills. So you don't just say, I have leadership qualities. You have to say something that you've done or something that you've been in that shows that you have leadership qualities. So that's where you'd be saying that I was Pax Romana hall rep, Unity hall rep. This is what I did during that time. So the things that you've been involved in, use that opportunity to describe your soft skills. So if it was communication, you could say that you were secretary for an organization and this is what you did. You had to send out minutes, you had to write out letters. If you were an organizer, what does an organizer do? So pull the soft skills out from your experiences rather than just writing, I've got this leadership quality and I've got this quality. They want to see real life examples that show that you know what you're talking about and you've actually done them as well.
Thank you very much. Edifo will take the next set of questions and I think I'll put them together and they'll get ready. It says that, please, for someone who wants to further his education after my BSc, I want to know if being a teaching assistant for your experience gives you a higher opportunities in regard to gaining admission in outside university. Is it that the lecturers give priority to teaching assistants or what? And then another one following from it is that, is it advisable to quickly jump to grad school after you are done with your BSc, or you have to get the experience first? So it's a multiple set of questions.
Yeah, and thanks for the question, Chris. I'll have to say that there is no single magic bullet to any of the questions. So I'll start with the first one. And being a TA, does being a TA guarantee further studies abroad? What I will say from experience is I know a lot of
Oh, hello. Okay, so maybe let me pick it from, I think that I've lost the Edipo online. Let me see if it's not on. Auntie Theo, you, or maybe, and if you are around, can you pick, because you did your master's outside, what if you can pick on the question?
Yeah, so two things to say. I think the question was to do with whether it's advisable to jump straight into graduate school, and also whether being a TA has any advantage. I would say honestly that the only advantage being a TA. Oh, Adam is back. Do you want me to carry on, or do you want Adam
Sorry.
to continue?
Well, you can, but I have doing so now. So
No, you carry on, Adam, because we might lose you
Okay.
soon. So finish up.
Okay, thanks. And sorry for that. The light went off, so I'm using my phone's. Anyway, thanks for chipping in there. So I think from my experience, being a TA, does it guarantee going for a master's? Personally, I wouldn't say it's a sure guarantee, like 100%. If you're a TA, you will get it, and it doesn't mean if you go into industry as well, you can't make it. I think what happens is when you become a TA, you have a lot of, well, I won't say a lot of headspace, but you're able to really look into and network with people of similar minds. So you have a lot of shared resources and all that. So that helps. When you go into industry, you can't do the same. I mean, I know people who have been in industry or worked in industry.
Oh, okay. So
To look at other options, because I was looking at going to the US for GRE, and he was sort of encouraging me, and we're all TA, so we had that kind of ecosystem, that kind of environment to share ideas and to do things together. So that's helpful. Of course, going into industry as well, you can. Now the second bit is, to be honest, I think it depends on the field. That's to do with the masters. It depends on the field. A lot of people I've met will say, look, I'm so glad I went into industry before coming to do my master's, because I could easily get it. I understood it. And they tend to do well on average. They tend to do really well, people who have been in industry before going. I went straight into doing my master's after my PhD. And Yidado did the same, and her husband did the same. Most of us did the same. And of course, we thrive. But depending on the field, I would say it might be worth rather going out for a year or two before coming out. The danger with going out a year or two before coming out is, once you get into work full time, usually for most people, not everyone, it becomes very challenging to sort of pursue the masters, because again, you get into the grind of the job and you're always focused on the next task. And so doing that sort of personal statement and looking for the job, it becomes very challenging. And I know a lot of people who are in that situation. It becomes challenging. So it all depends. But for some fields, yeah, definitely, it'll be good to get an experience or two before going in. But for most, I think you can just go in straight, and it all depends on your priorities as well.
okay, thank you very much. I think that we'll be getting ready to wrap up for today's session. Auntie, your final words. I think we've looked at the questions now, so maybe we take the final words from Edifo, and then Auntie Theo will come up, and then we'll wrap up. I'll wrap up for you. So Edifo, because of if you can wrap up for us so that we can. Just if there's anything that you want to add to what you've already shared. If not, we'll go to you if you want to keep within time. Okay, I think that Theodora. Okay, then let me just say that. Okay, Theo is on the line.
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, so basically, my advice is that let's all keep learning, let's keep improving. The course I entered to do my master's years ago, the requirement was that should have had at least a minimum of 2 years working experience to do the program. And there was a reason, because you need practical experience. And now, because of lack of jobs, people rush in to do their master's program. But I will encourage that it's a matter of self-discipline. So when I worked before I did my master's, it was very good for me. I had it so, the master's was excited because everything the lecturer comes to class, he said, based on your work experience, can we look at this? So those who have never had any work experience struggled a lot in the program that I did for my master's program, the spring program. So I will encourage you, get an opportunity, grasp it before you do your master. So when I was doing, I worked for 2 years. Quickly, I enrolled in my master because I had a plan for my life. I'm a woman, but I went straight to do my master's 2 years after working there. After my master's, I went back to the job field. So it's a matter of self-discipline. I also want to encourage that you individually on this program, the Access Point 2.0 program, do a personal SWOT analysis. Currently, in your field of where you want to be, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What do you know? What additional skills do you want to know? The World Economic Report that I put there, look at the trend going on in the whole world where you want to compete in future. I keep telling people, you're not competing with Ghanaians only, you are competing on the global field. So what are your current strengths? What are your weaknesses? What opportunities are available? And that's one of the speakers said, I think Ernest, that YouTube is an excellent source you can learn from. So when you look at the gap, your skill analysis gap, even at this stage, we are learning so much on the job, and we are going online to improve ourselves, and we are giving ourselves, we are entering into webinars here and there. So I'll be grateful. Do a personal SWOT for yourself. In addition to what you are learning in your program, you add the knowledge to it. You join your LinkedIn, you get your mentor, and you're improving. That's what I will encourage everybody so that we can gain. But in addition to all the hard skills, please don't forget the soft skill, communication, interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence, empathy, ethics, values. All these things culminate. Time management, passion, hard work. Don't come to work, don't go to work and you are on your phone. It's a big thing I deal with my service persons here coming to work, and you always see them on their phone scrolling and watching one after another. My heart, I got it a hard way, and let's build the work ethics as well. Manage your phone time. So when you get a job in future, you don't spend much of time on the phone. I think, Chris, a very big God bless you for this opportunity. Anytime you need myself, I'm there to help and guide with the experience that God is blessing us with. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much. And Dado, would you, your last comment, and then we wrap up?
So just general comments then, Chris.
Yes.
Okay. I think all I need to add here, we've said so much today. I don't want to keep repeating the same things, but think of it this way. You've got all the skills you need to be able to survive in work. What we're talking about today are skills that you either already have or you need to build on. Now, the first thing you need to do is actually sit yourself down and have a chat. What do I need to improve on? The way to do that is to ask for feedback. Ask your friends, ask your lecturers, ask your co-workers, ask your manager. What kind of skills can I bring to enrich my role, to bring more value to what I'm doing here? And always look at yourself and see where the gaps are and try to fill them. Also, to be humble about what you know and humble about what you don't know. So in the world of work, you'd meet so many people that have more knowledge, more understanding, and well versed in the subjects that you're dealing with. Professors, doctors who have all the knowledge. Be humble and ask for help. Also, be humble if you are the one that knows all the things and nobody else around you knows it. So that at the end of the day, you are giving and then you're also receiving. If there's a saying, it's only in giving that we receive. So think about what skills you need to give yourself to be able to survive, adapting to your environment, adapting to whatever is required of you in your work role, and ask for feedback. And then lastly, humility in what you know and what you don't know, and making sure that you fill those gaps. That will take you everywhere. because you have the passion to learn, you're humble enough to know what you don't know, and also you are constantly checking yourself to see, what am I missing? How can I do better? And I think that's about it. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you very much for joining us. And I want to especially thank all the participants who stayed online. Normally, having an online course and all of you staying online for this number of hours, you've really done well. Tomorrow is just 1 hour, 30 minutes to 2 hours. That's for tomorrow's session. Tomorrow we'll be looking at startups. When, as a graduate, what you can do to start something small on your own, whether from school or something like that. Then there's an expert in business startup. Like I said, I've met him, Benjamin Hoss, from the Hoss Group in Germany. Will be our discussant for tomorrow. And I just want to say that please, you can invite people to join. It's a free or what they call pro bono thing. You can let people join and then benefit from it. But those who want to be certified, make sure you have registered and then join the classroom on the WhatsApp group. You join the WhatsApp group. There's a classroom link. You join it. Today's session, there are 10 quiz questions that we have developed out of the discussions. You answer them and then you will have scored today's mark. Then as we finish, those who are able to endure to the end will certify that you have gone through this course. You can just listen to and go your way, that's fine, but it is very useful. You put your hands to do what you are supposed to do. Thank you. All the best and all the best. Thank you for joining us. See you tomorrow at 4. Please try and come on time so that we'll be on time. We are on time. Thank you very much, Enidado, and thank you very much, all of you, for coming. You can, please, the link to register, they will drop it in the chat on your
I just printed the first one. I'm waiting for the
Please, can we have
first
a
one.
list sent here right now?
It's in the chat.
I'm
And
just finished a presentation and discussion.
you can do that. Thank you very much. Meet you tomorrow at 4. Right.
Thanks for having us. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Fine, thank you. Not really. It just yeah, it's yeah.
Thank you for sharing your insights. Well appreciated.
Bye.
Please, is anyone with a link to register so that the person helps us with it? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, a moment. We are dropping the link, please.
Sorry?